Hi and welcome to the third demonstration of the Pexip iOS SDK. In this demonstration I'll be continuing on from the second demonstration where I went over some basic event handling, and we're going to continue with event handling, but now we're going to handle events around presentations. So the Pexip MCU supports a secondary presentation stream that it can send alongside the main video streams, and what we're going to do today is demonstrate how you can present that to your users in an iOS application. So what we're going to do is just continue on from where we left off in the last demonstration. Again, you can get hold of this code in this form from our Pexip SDK repository on GitHub. It's all ready to go. Everything's set for event handling. Here you can see we've got the roster update event, which we handled in the last demonstration. And now we're going to add in a few more options to let us handle presentations. So as a conference delegate, for presentations there are about three different events we can handle. We have a presentation start event, we have a presentation frame event, and a presentation stop event. So presentation start simply is an event that states somebody has started presenting, and it provides a string of the person that is currently presenting. The presentation frame, this provides a identifier for the presentation frame, the actual image that is being sent. And presentation stop, as you'd expect, indicates that the person presenting has stopped presenting. What we'll do is we'll set up a bunch of code to handle these events and then take the image data and display that to the user in the form of a UI image view. So the first thing we'll need to do is up in our variables, let's add a few placeholders. So we've got a last presentation image view. We're going to use this to store the actual image view, and the last presentation image, this will be a UI image, which we'll set to both of those to nil, and that'll be our placeholders for our images. So back down in our event handlers, when we get a presentation, what we're going to do is we're going to call out to Pexip to say, go and get me a presentation please. So what we're going to do is have a function called fetch presentation frame. Presentation frame. This doesn't need any arguments. And what this is going to go and do is go and talk to our SDK and go and grab the actual presentation image that the MCU has got for us. So let's take our conference object and call the fetch presentation method. This takes one option, which is whether that's ping is supported or not, and on the MCUs in older versions before version 9 we used to provide only a JPEG image. On newer versions we now supply a high resolution PNG image. So let's tell the SDK to provide a boolean for us whether the ping presentation is supported or not on the MCU. It will go and ask the MCU, what version are you? And it will come back with the appropriate response. So let's ask our MCU, is ping presentation supported? Yes or no, and that will return the correct boolean. Let's go and take this completion. Now this completion is going to send back a status and some image data in the form of NS data. So what we're going to do, if our status is okay, standard service error stuff you've seen before, and if you've actually got some image data to use, then let's print out we got an image, and let's have another function which we're going to call self.update update presentation view, which we will create in a minute with our UI image created from our data. Okay. What are we complaining about here? Just a forgotten bracket. And take that. Okay, so that's our presentation frame. That's a good error because you haven't actually created that one yet. So let's go ahead and create the updates presentation. That's going to take an image, which is a UI image. Okay. So in this particular function, what we're going to do here is apply a subview to our existing presentation view. So we've got our presentation view here. We're going to go and add in a subview to it to actually present the image. So let's take the image that we've just been given and set that to the last presentation image. Okay. Now, if we've been presented an image before, you just want to go and show that. So if let iView equals self dot last presentation image view. So if we've done this before, let's just set the image view image with the current image. If this is the first time we've received a presentation, then let's go ahead and set up this image view. So the last presentation image view, so this is a new UI image view created with an image, the image. Okay. Now, one thing to note is when this image is sent back, it's actually sending back the full sized image from the MCU, which is typically a 1080p PNG or JPEG image. This will be too large to display natively on the iPhone screen, so what we'll have to do is resize this image. So I've got a little handy function which will take the image and size it down to the bounds of the presentation view. So that's called self.update video dimensions. We'll create that in a second. And then once we've done that, we'll do a self.presentation view, which is our UI view over here. We're going to add in our subview, and our view is called self.last presentation image view. Okay. So I'm going to cut and paste my update video dimensions, but I'll talk you through it. So what this function is doing is it's taking the width of the presentation view box, and then because our video is a 16:9 image, we're just going to calculate the bounds of this particular UI view and apply those to our image view. So it sets the right scale effectively. Okay, so I think that's all we need in order to deal with our presentation image. So we've got a function to go and fetch the presentation frame from the MCU. We then go and update this presentation view with that image. And here's that function here. And we also got a little function to modify the size so we can actually see it on the screen. Otherwise your image will be filling the entire screen, which won't be too good. So now we've got this function in place, we can go and plumb those into our event handlers. So when a presentation starts, what we'd like to do is simply go and fetch the first presentation frame. So let's go and fetch the presentation frame. And what we can also do in here, just for debugging purposes, is presentation started by name. Okay. And in our presentation frame, again, this event will be sent every single time there's a new frame. So when the MCU detects a change in the image that's being sent, it will issue a presentation frame for us, and that triggers us to go and fetch a new presentation from the MCU. So let's self.fetch a presentation, and let's print out new frame coming with ID. Okay. And on presentation stops, what we're going to do in this case is we're just going to remove the view we've added to the subview, remove the subview, and also just nil out the image views and the images just to clear the window. So let's do a self.presentation view dot subviews. We'll do this very clunkily and just grab the only subview we know is there. And we're going to remove that from its super view, and then we're going to set self.last presentation image view equal to nil, and self.last presentation image equal to nil, and hopefully that will clear out any presentation. So to recap, we have some placeholders for the image view and the image, which we're going to apply to our UI view. We've got three methods that deal with the conference delegate functions for presentation started, a new presentation frame, and presentation stopping. And these events call some functions which fetch the presentation, resize the image view, and then apply the image view to the application. So let's go and build this application. Build has failed. No member update presentation view. Aha, bad typing. There we go. Let's try that again. Build succeeded. Okay, so let's go ahead and run up the simulator. Excellent. Okay, good. So I'm going to join my conference. There we go. So I've already got my E20 endpoint dialed in, so you provide some video for you. And what I'm going to go and do now is open up a browser and go to pexipdemo.com. Join my conference. And I'm going to go and present. Let's present the Pexip SDK window. And I'll bring up my iOS app, and hopefully once the browser has decided to send the presentation, the MCU will get that message from the browser, and it will then tell all the other participants in the conference that there's a presentation available. And here you can see our UI view has been updated with the presentation. So that's how you deal with presentation events and showing presentations. What I'll do is now stop the presentation here, and hopefully, yeah, there we go. That's cleared out the image view. You've now got a nice UI image view ready to start the presentation again. So there we go, a few simple lines of code, and we've handled presentations with the Pexip SDK.